Well, hello there and welcome to issue number 93, and this issue is all about the Capricorn dog. And on the caption prior to the video, all the dates you have to be to fall into this Eastern and Western astrological combination. Any questions, any queries at all about the video, just drop me a line on here, and any feedback is very, very welcome. Okay, let's start straight away. Well, we've got the Capricorn as a child, so we start in the early days. What happens when this fuses into one person with the dog? Well, the Capricorn child, as we know, is very pragmatic, very practical, loves their family life. Family is very, very important to them, and I don't just mean the mum and dad, the aunts, uncles, everything. They like to know all their history. They like to know about their family tree. They love to keep in touch, and the children are very, very aware of everything, all their roots, and they like to stick to those roots. With the dog in the mix, well, the dog, as we know, is a very justice, fair orientated character, a bit of a warrior, and sometimes thinks that the worst is always going to happen, but it's through that vigilance and looking out and sort of that feeling of foreboding that really does prepare them for a lot of sticky situations. Plus, they are always prepared for a rainy day, or they look ahead, and that's what you're going to get with this child. You're going to get somebody who, although we're in the present and they're functioning from day to day, not necessarily massively brilliant scholars, but they will always be looking ahead. They'll be looking ahead to, what's going to make them tick. What's going to make them tick is first and foremost security, worrying about their family and then their immediate family, which they're going to create as young as possible. I really advise this for this combination. After they've done their schooling, if they go to college, it's possible, but it's probably likely that they want to get into the workplace as quick as possible, and they will also like to get into a relationship young, and I really advise that for this combination, and start their own family and young, because they're going to be a very reliable, concrete parent. So they're ahead of their years in that sense. So there could be a young parent, but they're very mature, so not a problem having their child at 17, 18, 19, whatever, because they take to it like a duck to water, because of the maturity and the vision of their future. They see this will make them whole. So we've got the worry of the dog, and we've also got the Capricorn here. So it does make for a look on a person's face of there is a perpetual worry, or there's a bit of confusion. It's because it doesn't matter how much the Capricorn dog has, they always have a feeling that they're going to lose it, because they're very affected by world news. They're very affected by sad stories, things where people are on top of the world and all of a sudden boom, and they're very wary of this. So they're very good at showing their family love. They're very good at showing a very caring side, because they know it can all change tomorrow, and they worry about this very much so. This probably has to be that top of the list of all of the signs for this, a feeling that something bad's going to happen. Well, thankfully it never really does, but it's because they're prepared. This is survivalist, because they're prepared. This is somebody who will go to the shops, buy out all the bread, because they've heard there possibly may be a storm on its way, or they brought all the candles because there could be lack of electricity because we're overusing it. This is this person. You've got to get to know this person, and this is what you're going to have to be prepared for. Sometimes it can look a little eccentric, sometimes it can be a little bit seem a little bit manic, but the reason they're doing it is because they want their family to feel comfortable as best as possible, as best as possibly can. Some Capricorns, as we know, are quite cautious with their money, and they're very wary that without money, that feel like they're not secure. They feel as though, oh, I'm open to the elements, and more importantly, that they're not in control. Well, the Capricorn dog has a very generous streak, so family members need not worry that they will be going without cash when they need it, or going without necessities when they need it, because they will always provide. They're always included. The whole family is included. Great aunts, uncles, they love family get-togethers. It appeals to them more so than, say, like going to the pub, or a jolly day out, or a jolly girls' night out, or whatever. It appeals to them having the family around them, because, you know, they love to talk about, you know, the history of the family, the characters of the family, you know, stories. They love to relive stories over and over, because it gives them a sense of, you know, belonging and feeling, you know, safe. Because when they don't surround themselves with that, they can get anxious, worrying that something's going to go wrong. Quite a big problem for the Capricorn dog is if they get maybe an ailment. Let's say, for instance, you know, they've damaged a ligament in their knee or whatever. Now, that will play on their mind, thinking, that's it, I'm going to lose my leg. And not only that, you know, I could have passed it on to the rest of the family. You know, it's unrealistic worrying, but, you know, it shows that caring, deep caring side to these. You know, they go to battle for their family. Nothing's too much for them. But they know for that to happen, they have to keep fitting well, because they worry. They have a feeling, well, if I'm not here, how are they going to cope? Well, everybody copes. Everybody has to. You've got to relieve some of that pressure, really, that you put on yourself, Capricorn dog. It's very endearing, it's very loving, but sometimes you have to realise that people can cope. They can cook their own meals. They can wake themselves up. You know, you've got to allow people to be expressive in their own way. You know, control is good, but sometimes, you know, it can be a little bit claustrophobic, and that's one fault, if you like, of this combination. So they can be quite claustrophobic and quite nosy in the family circle, where, you know, they've got to know the lot that's going on, you know, and sometimes they can nitpick if someone is preparing a meal. Oh, you do it like this, you do it like, let me do it. They want to do it. So they need to step back a little bit. They need to realise that the worst isn't always going to happen, and very, very rarely does. They need to enjoy their recreational time in some varied ways as well, as in, you know, they work damn hard, and they will acquire decent money because they've worked damn hard, but they're going to have to find a bit of variety for their you know, their recreational time. You know, do something out of the norm ever so often, and that's why we're going to look at partners that will help with this, because you do need this in your life. Okay, it might be quite scary at times for you, because it might seem, oh, I don't know, it's a bit helter-skelter, that's out of my comfort zone, but you'll find that will then, you know, bring the best out of you, because, you know, being in your comfort zone all the time isn't always the best thing. Sometimes we step out of that, we go on a different journey, and we learn something else. So that's the key for Capricorn dog. So who are we going to match them up with? Well, let's look for the tigers. The tigers love the sense of justice, yes, but they're slightly more unpredictable than the dog, and they're a little bit more spontaneous. So yes, the justice brings them together, and they can have some real good discussions, and they can work damn hard for each other. The tiger's not going to be so maternal or parental, and not so worried about the security that the dog is. They let them cope with that. So there's a good balance there. But then the tiger will throw some things into the mix, like, hey, we're going off there, we're going to try that. So that balance is a very nice thing. So let's look for the tigers under Pisces, Taurus, Virgo and Scorpio. All excellent. you know, very, very good to keep that mixture of a little bit of difference. And also we've got to look for horses, because horses, again, very generous spirited, intellectual, so they can give good conversations to the dogs, where the dogs be very keen listeners, and they love their horses to shine. They'll be right by their side, they don't mind them having the limelight. So that's a very good combination. Plus, with the unpredictability of the horse and that loving nature of the horse, will bring out a sexual side of the Capricorn dog, which, to be honest, they're pretty cool customers when it comes to sexual side. They need something to stoke up the fires, and it needs to take a while, because it's not a natural base for them. They find that very quite difficult. Physical expression is hard for them. So, but the horse adds things into the ingredients which can really open that side of them up and discover something in them that, you know, is deep down. So we look for the Pisces horse, the Taurus horse, the Virgo horse and the Scorpio horse. Wonderful matches there. What we have to avoid for the dogs, and especially the Capricorn dogs, is all dragons, because dragons are too larger than life for you. There's no element of control that you'll ever be able to put on a dragon, and not even in your well-meaning way or in your loving claustrophobic way. It just won't go down well. There'll be conflicts, different directions and different driving forces. Yes, the dragon does like cash, but they like cash which then will lead to more expressiveness, more status stuff, whereas the dog likes the cash for the rainy day. You know, there'll be conflicts over where the money's going, and basically, you know, they just don't mix. It just doesn't go, and it will end up in big arguments and possibly fist fights sometimes. If you have to look at the things to avoid, I think for the Capricorn dog, as in health worries, well, I'm going to go into the hypochondria bit, where, you know, wait for the real opinions of the doctors, etc. Don't let your mind run away from you, and, you know, don't imagine that you've got terminal illnesses, you know, and that the world's going to end without you, because, you know, yes, you're very loved, you're very cherished, but you have to allow people a little bit of freedom, and you also have to allow yourself a bit, and break them shackles off and say, hey, if I am that poorly, there's people out there that can sort it out. It's not the end of the world. Well, thank you for tuning into this issue, and please join me for the next one. Thank you.